Our second presentation focuses on the Sustainable Coastal and Marine Fisheries Project in Cambodia. This proposed project aims to use remote sensing and drone mapping to enhance the country's coastal and marine ecosystem management with a particular focus on fisheries. Please welcome Alvin Lopez, a senior natural resources and agricultural specialist at the Asian Development Bank, to give us some more details. Alvin?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Tammy, and good afternoon, Bruno, Thomas, and all. This project I'm going to talk about is a project under preparation per se. So it's been great, and Paulo from ISA has been great in sort of over the past year, working to sort of help with the design of the potential. There's no results to show per se, but sort of just ideas on where we can explore collaborations, as we have is to build on a proposed pilot as well, which ISA has, through ISA and our collaboration, will be implemented, piggyback onto the project preparation, which has just been commenced. So fisheries per se in Cambodia is coastal and marine fisheries in particular, is a key contributor to the Cambodian economy. This first part of the presentation, I would sort of present the overall project, and towards the end, I would just sort of try and identify the key interventions that we've discussed. So capture fisheries alone, as you can see from the slide there, in 2019, 600,000 tons, and where marine catch is a gross underestimate, because really the catch monitoring is pretty poor, and a lot of this trade happens in the middle of the sea, which is really undocumented. And also there are a range of other issues affecting actual data. So that's grossly underestimated, but we all do know that fisheries resources are under immense pressure due to a range of reasons, including overfishing and other reasons. Next slide, please. And the key problems that the project is aiming to address over here is first one, looking more from a resource management perspective. There's totally unregulated and unsustainable practices going on in the coastal and marine areas, including stresses on the coastal ecosystems, in particular mangrove. A second issue is going through the entire sort of the infrastructure that's even there, including landing sites, cold storage, and a range of other sort of facilities on the coast are quite deplorable and has a lot of potential for improvement, and also making it a lot more climate resilient. And the third dimension, more linked to the value chain, is basically trying to support sort of the smallholders and lack of access to finance, and to support them in better sort of addressing some of the other key issues related to food safety and standards and things like that. So the project, next slide, please. The key solutions over there, looking at enhancing the ecosystems, first sort of key output. Second is looking at the infrastructure, as I said. And the third is supporting safe and sustainable fisheries value chains. And finally, the most innovative component in there really is looking at establishing a financing facility. I've highlighted output number one over there, because that is the key intervention where the ISA interventions and support for Earth observation will come in full. Next slide, please. In the first sort of key output, assessment and monitoring of the status of coastal marine fisheries, and which includes looking at the status of mangroves. We are also working on targeted, in the key targets in the design and monitoring frame, includes basically hectares of mangrove being restored, and looking at the overall ecological integrity of these mangrove systems. And this is being explored, building on the pilot project, which we're about to commence. A range of other interventions there, due to time I'll not probably explain, but includes investment in mariculture and other sort of regional cooperation dimensions, because again, coastal zone management requires a lot of regional cooperation. Next slide, please. Key output number two, I mentioned upgrading the landing sites and exploring other public-private partnerships, not so much of remote sensing or Earth observation here, but then again, looking at the resilience of the coast, and also the potential of basically increasing the residence on areas that where you actually position those landing sites could probably benefit. So we haven't discussed this in detail, but again, during the project preparation, we can explore other options. Next slide. This is just mentioned some of the details there in output number 3 on promoting fisheries value chains and just listing some of the key interventions, but I will move on due to time. Next slide, please. So in alignment with ADB strategy 2030, this has already been mentioned in the, again, how it's becoming increasingly important in the opening remarks by DG as well as Thomas, and tackling strategic priority number 2 over there. The key interventions includes coastal zone ecosystem assessment, monitoring, and community-based natural resources management using sort of earth observation interventions. Next slide, please. ADB's value addition, nature-based solutions through ecosystem, mangrove restoration, fisheries and coastal zone monitoring again, using these tools in collaboration with ESA. Next slide. So this, as you can see right in the middle there, some of the specific sort of interventions and approaches which we are considering over there is one of it is looking at the even monitoring the coastal eutrophication. As you can see in there, there is sort of maybe it's a bit too small. That's a news release over there on the algal blooms, especially in the coast of Cambodia and Kep, and how that has affected basically. It's already happening, and this is kind of, it's not even something that we're just talking about, but it's been happening. But yet, this is, we feel this is potentially a powerful tool which we can use because to understand the ecosystem status and help we can use as basically model potential eutrophications as ocean color over here. I mean, it provides information on water quality in the coastal areas, things like chlorophyll concentration also, and how this sort of relates to potential eutrophication phenomena as well. So this is one of the things we're being, which is being considered as part of the project design. Next. Another key aspect, because some of the indicators related to output number 1 is also looking at the status and distribution of some of the key ecosystems and habitats like mangrove and vegetation. Again, a critical ecosystem on the coast, fisheries, livelihoods, coastal resilience perspective as well, and storm surges for protection. So it yet almost no sort of observation tools have been used to effectively monitor the status and distribution and extent of these systems. So from the perspective of this project per se, because coastal zone management is pretty complex, a range of agencies involved. And so as a start, the targets of this project are targeting sort of the areas under the administration of the fisheries department. And as to start with, and we'll sort of explore how we can further advance the collaboration into other sort of areas. Next slide. I think I'm at the end. A range of other opportunities, sort of medium to long term. I'll not elaborate on this because we haven't really discussed this in the perspective of the project, but we think it would be relevant from looking at the monitoring the medium to longer term impacts of climate change. Next. That's just a project on the timelines of the project. I think the duration of the project, I'll just jump into there, is June 2022, targeted approval to May 2028. Indicative amount is 100 million. And basically with the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. And I think that's the final slide. Next slide again. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. So currently, as I said, depending on the pilot, which we are working on with support from Paulo and Isa, we hope that this will be integrated into the overall design of the loan project, which will be approved in June 2022. Thank you very much, and open to any questions, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Alvin. Very interesting presentation, and we will circle back to that as well.